We've had a beautiful journey, and today's been filled with a lot of heavy, big issues about reciprocity, about protecting the Amazon. And so we want to finish today with this panel about building collective vision, about dreaming. So I borrowed a little bit of John Lennon here about a dream you dream alone is only a dream, but a dream we dream together is reality. We're going to start this panel with Manari, who's going to share a story with us.
Kuikicha Zapara Nyanuja, Kuityaja Manari Ushigua. Yo soy Zapara.
My name is Manari Ushigua. I am a spiritual leader in my nation. I would like to convey a message to all of you present here and now. What does ayahuasca teach us? It teaches us how to dream and how to live with the dream. I would like to share with you an experience that we had in our territory. An actor came, Gail Tatum is his name. I don't know exactly how to pronounce this. He says he is an actor from Hollywood, and he reached the rainforest because he wanted to see his future. He wanted to know about his future. He wanted to learn about his future, and his movie needs to be seen and broadcast all over the world. And with this goal, for this purpose, we worked with him so that he has memories of this dream. He has a dream. He needs to remember this dream. And then after that, we organized a big ceremony to celebrate his vision of his future, of his life in the future. In that vision that he had, in the whole world, everybody was watching his movie. That is what he saw in his vision. And through that movie, he found lots of things, in the sense that he suddenly had different homes in the world, and he had lots of money, and his business was doing fine. But in his vision, he was like climbing a ladder. So he climbed another ladder, and he was looking down from that ladder, seeing his life and his future, and he wanted to know about his fame. He wanted to know about his economic resources, and he wondered how he would change as a person. He then started to climb this second ladder, and he thought, I should take a look at myself, look at my face. He was not feeling anything. And then another ladder. I need to take another ladder. And ayahuasca was telling him, first look into your face and look into yourself, then get to know who you are. That's what Yauna was teaching him. Yauna showed a mirror to him and said, look at you, that's who you are. And he realized that he was the same. He was the same actor. Nothing had changed. And he thought, I thought that something in my life would change, or my way of being was going to change. However, nothing is changing. Yes, he did have all the material things he would have in his life. And ayahuasca taught him. That was Channing Tatum, the actor from Hollywood. Yauna taught him, if you want to have so many houses, beautiful houses, lots of money, you want to, affirm this and assure this, you need to open up a window. Open the window. And when he opened the window, he saw the Amazon. And then Yona said, that's what you need to take care of. That's the future. That's life. If you don't take care of these resources, the rainforest, what you have is going to boil down to nothing. It's going to disappear. Now this actor, Channing Tatum, started to, be worried about his daughter because he has a daughter, and he wondered, if the earth disappears, what's the future for my daughter? And Yona said, if you don't take care of the planet, the Amazon, your daughter, your little girl will suffer. Then, the day after, when he woke up, he joined us for breakfast. There was this round table, and we discussed about our dreams, and he shared with us this vision, and he started crying intensely and deeply. And he said, I understand now. I understand why the indigenous peoples don't want these rainforests to disappear, because this forest is our life. It has been, it is our life. It's our heart. He said, okay, from now on, I don't care about my fame. I don't care about my money. I really want to take care about the Amazon. In his movie, he devoted about 60 seconds, maybe 1 minute, about not touching the oil beneath the earth. That sentence, that idea was such a contribution for us. It was so important for us. The message from the forests, the message from the Zapata world is, for each and every one of us sharing this world, sharing this planet Earth, all of us, we need to learn how to dream, because the secret of life is there in the spiritual world, because we are spiritual beings and we live with our spirit. We live in spirit, spirit embodied in ourselves, in our body, and we are spirit creators ourselves. When a baby is born, that's a spirit that's just being created. When a little plant is born, that's a spirit. The tree is creating a spiritual being with those tiny leaves. Now, if we create spirits, the strength and the power are in our hands. We have the power to change things and make decisions forward on what path we want to walk forward in the future. That is why I would like to repeat this idea. We need to learn how to dream, also recall our dreams, and that is what's going to help us change so many things in our material world, in this world that we are witnessing right now. And that is my message to you. With this message, I would like to encourage you, and I wish you all the best in the future. Tomorrow is tomorrow. Today is today. But the future has already happened. We have taken a path already. We have created a path. All those of us here, we've created together a spiritual being to guide us and to make us happy and to live with an enormous grin on our faces. And that's why we're here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We had a very lovely and important guest that was going to be joining us here in Spain named Nemonte Nemquimo, who is from the Waorani community of Ecuador. And then on April 26th, her community, they actually won a big legal battle. They had been working to resist, so some government bodies had basically not done proper consultation, so they took them to court and they won. And they won this case that meant that any possibility of selling the community's land for exploration was put on hold. And then the government decided to appeal. And so Nemonte didn't join us here because the appeal was going to maybe fall this week. But I had the lovely pleasure of speaking with Nemonte this week and asked her if she would send to us a message and her dream for the future. And so we're just going to show a short video of some pictures of Nemonte and her message here for us. El video.
Sí, mi nombre es Nemonte Nemquimo.
Hello, my name is Nemonte Nemquimo. I am a Guarani woman from Paspasa. I'm a founder of Alianza Serviço. I have a lot of experience working particularly with other men and women to see how we can strengthen our culture. We are men and women who've got the voice of the jungle. Our grandparents used to look after the jungle, and we've been through all this process of looking after the land. We want to protect the land because that's our spiritual cradle. We are connected to the land, to the animals, to ancestral knowledge that our forefathers used to have. And one of the elements of that knowledge is ayahuasca. We, as Guarani women, we say mi ayahuasca. That mi ayahuasca was a very sacred plant, highly respected. And when we drank ayahuasca, it used to guide us. It helped us in our protection of nature. And that is the dream that has kept us alive and working and defending our nature free from pollution for years, for centuries. The Guarani world, ever since we started contacting the evangelicals, the oil companies, we're now full of sadness. For me, as a woman, I see sadness. Oil is destroying nature. Spirituality, we feel empty. When you drink ayahuasca, you cannot concentrate if there is an oil company near you. You cannot see dreams. For me, as a Guarani woman, it's very important for me to have been through this process of fight to protect our land. We are in 3 provinces, Huastasa, Napo, and Riana. But Napo and Riana, there are already oil companies operating there. They're already polluting. They're already destroying the jungle. But in the Pastaza province, there's still virgin land. And for me as a woman, I feel connected to that nature. And that is very important. We are not going to allow them to go into our territory to destroy nature because we're connected to the land. I, as a woman, have felt this. I drink ayahuasca, and I have been taught to fight, to protect the jungle, to protect my culture. Ayahuasca has taught me to look after the planet. It's very important. If we allow destructive companies to come in and to destroy our nature, they will destroy nature and they will destroy our spirit. We will lose the connection to nature. And that will be the end of the future of our generations. That's why it's very important for us women, the role we play as women, as mothers. We need to fight day after day. We women need to come together. We need to be the path for that long process through our drinking of yagé, through strengthening the connection of our grandmothers and great-grandmothers with nature through ayahuasca. They were connected to the jaguar and they saw themselves with the jaguar. And that was how they maintained that link alive. We need to nurture that. I would ask all women to stand together wherever you may come from. United, we women are powerful. We are a path. We need to look after one another and look after the Mother Earth. The Mother Earth looks after us. It feeds us. It nourishes us. We women play a key role in protecting ourselves, in looking after ourselves. We are not weak. Our connection to the earth, to our children, to air is too strong to be weak. So as a woman, my message is, I might be far from you, but I am connected. We are strong. We're together. I'm present. I'm with you. We need to be strong, united women to face what's coming to us, the government, the companies that want to kill us, that want to destroy nature and mankind and our spirit. That's my message.
So thank you. Nemonte works with an organization called Seibo Alliance, which is it is accompanied by Amazon Frontlines, and they've requested the link that was just up there that people at the conference go to support this initiative they have to protect the Amazon and the Ecuadorian Amazon from oil extraction. So I have some lovely guests up here with me, and I've asked them to join me and to speak about their dreams. And so first I'd like to pass the word to Dani, who will share her dreams for the future.
Boa tarde mais uma vez, né? Estou aqui de volta. Eu quero falar um pouco sobre a natureza, né? A natureza que a gente vive, sobre as medicinas que nela existem e que nós vivemos também através dessa natureza. Então, o meu recado que eu quero deixar aqui, né?
Ladies and gentlemen, there is no currently translation from Portuguese, so with my Spanish, I'm going to do my humble best to translate, Dani. We're going to keep growing the plant. We're going to stand up for it. We need to look after future generations, our children, our grandchildren. We have the knowledge from our forefathers that has fed us, and we need to preserve it for future generations. In the future, people will tell our story. And who's going to tell the story? It's going to be our children. The children are the future. I'm very happy to be here. It has been wonderful to share these days with you. And I just want to tell you that we're going to keep growing the plant. And I ask you all to help us to feed the plant, because the plant helps us. We can see that things are changing in the forest. Things are changing. There's pollution. The climate's changing. The animals are changing. But we mustn't be sad, because nature is rich. We have a lot to be grateful to nature for as human beings. And I think that from now on, how do I dream the future? For me, my dream future is a future in which we keep growing the plant. And we all do it, because what it brings us is purity, it's wisdom. So let's be positive. Let's come together, let's unite. Let's fight together, because together we're strong. we all have our own means to do something to help. So let's all stand together with the indigenous communities, with women, with children, with our elders who are so wise. Let's fight. Let's keep working for a better future. I'd like to express my thanks to each and every one of you for everything you do. I want to thank the organizers. I want to thank all of you here. Some of you have had to travel from far away. I know it's not easy to bring people together from distant places to talk about something which interests us. I think that we are all deeply interested in the planet and in a better future. I think that we need to continue with our fight, with our resistance. A person on her own is not going to achieve anything, but if we all fight together, I'm sure we'll do it. Because united, we are strong. So let's fight. Let's continue. Because time does not stand still. Future generations await. And we're not here to stay. We're traveling from one world to another, and we're going to leave behind, we want to leave behind wisdom, knowledge for future generations, which was given us by our forefathers. And that wisdom, that knowledge must become stronger for the future. I don't know whether the future will be better than the present or it will be worse. But what I know is that we need to be positive and to think that this is going to be better. So I want to thank you all. I am learning from all of you. And I hope that everything that you have learned here as well, you will pass on to other people. That transmission of knowledge is going to help us become stronger. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you.
Obrigado, Dani.
Thank you very much, Dani.
It's the word, the dreaming now to Atossa, who's with an amazing project called the Sacred Headwaters Initiative.
Thank you. First, I want to say thanks again, ICEERS, for this amazing opportunity to be present, to be in conversation, and for all the space you've made for Indigenous peoples and all of these issues. So just a huge thanks. And what a great responsibility to be up here. I'm aware of the great responsibility that falls on the people up here to express a vision for the future. And so this is just top of my head. But I would say that a future vision would be based on a shift in the way we see the world, the way we see nature, the way we see the Amazon. Right now it's seen as just a treasure trove for extraction, the way we relate to this place that's the crucible of life, the heart of the world, the physiology of Gaia, the vital organs of a living planet, that becomes our mantra, that becomes the way we see the world. And from that place, then we can assume our place in that living body of a living earth as, contributors to supporting the living systems of our earth. So I think my wish for the future is that whatever we need to do, whether we need to be healed from trauma or come together in communities that celebrate life, or whether we need to drink ayahuasca or other substances, or just have dreaming, like Manari said, to wake up with that dream that we are in this living earth, and that Gaia, our mother, that really our aspiration as human beings has always been to be good ancestors to future generations, and that's not something that we're taught in school. I think that, my vision for the world would say that women are at least half of all decision-making bodies, that with that knowledge of life as, purview of women, that we would make better decisions, whether it's half of every corporate board or half of every city council or half of every world leaders, that women rise to power, and that will also, empowerment of women will also help to stabilize the human population on this earth. That we achieve a place of zero deforestation in the Amazon, that we look to the primacy of the web of life, the rights of nature and the rights of future generations in every action that we take, that we embody the rights of nature in law, that we have guardians for rivers and mountains, and that every species has the right to exist, to regenerate, to persist. That we achieve a drawdown in our carbon, and within a generation we could, if we reforested the Amazon, if we went 100% renewables, if we left all the fossil fuels in the ground, if we stopped eating so much meat, if we did what we need to do to go into organic agriculture and self-reliant systems, if we ended our death economy and the growth mindset. The growth mindset is the mindset of cancer. If we could end the growth mindset in the way that our financial system is based and our economies are driven by this prime directive of growth, if that would change, we could see a complete shift. If we could have, a bioregional approach, and every watershed, every headwaters would be sacred, because we would know human civilization's always been organized in watersheds, and that we know that the source of our existence depends on the source of our waters, the source of life. Water is life. And that we look for a system that's based not on growth, like I said, or development, this thing that was called development, that's been a tool of oppression and colonialism in the global south, that this becomes a mantra for harmony and well-being, like what New Zealand just did. We're not that far away from having the world's economies be focused on well-being and happiness and health and harmony. And those are indigenous concepts of, ancient peoples all the time talked about buen vivir and sumac causai. And so that could be a mantra that we're after. And ultimately, there's a lot more I could say. I could see us using the communities that we have, our medicine communities, as places to generate visions for the future and the positive future that we know we can all thrive, a future where we can all thrive, a future where cities become engines of restoration, that we do reforestation and restoration as just who we are and what we do in life. That's the meaning of our existence, is to care for the earth. And, it's this concept of breaking the barrier. For so long, the vision was that if you have human civilizations, you're going to have decline of biodiversity, that the two cannot coexist. And that's not true. When Spaniards arrived the colonists arrived, and the Portuguese arrived in South America, there were over 20 million people living in the forest. And indigenous people actually increased plant biodiversity in the Amazon. So it is possible through their shifting agricultural practices and the way that they saw the forest as alive and sacred. They actually contributed to an increase in plant biodiversity. It is possible for us to be in balance and to be a positive, net ecologically positive human presence on this planet. But it does all come back to our identity as human beings, as a species, and are challenging the systems that have been imposed on us as just like given, like, the economy that drives everyone as if it's the reason we were created on this earth, and it isn't. But only through deep work, spiritual work, and coming together the way nature does. I mean, I feel like I get a lot of inspiration from the way nature thrives. nature cooperates in communities that create more life, that create conditions for life. And that seems to me to be a very basic principle through which we could be self-organizing, like nature does, in diverse communities that cooperate to create more life or to help create conditions conducive to life. And that would come from a place of not, changing our, worldview and changing our relationship and changing our identity. So for the Amazon, I'm hopeful that we will protect the headwaters, that we will work to leave fossil fuels in the ground, that we'll transition the economic systems, and that we will get out of the ecological and financial debt burden that's driving countries to sell off their forests for short-term gain. And that we do this through celebration, through participation in every way, in a full, what Indigenous people call a full life. And I know it sounds idealistic, but I do think we have the opportunity. We are only limited by our imagination. As Manari said, it's important to dream, it's important to see what is possible, because through our visions and through our dreams, we know we can achieve these dreams. So I leave you with that, and I thank you again for this great opportunity to be before you.
Plants. Several weeks ago, I came across an article by a woman named Gail Bradbrook, who's the founder of Extinction Rebellion in England. And she wrote about how her vision for what she wanted to do with the rest of her life, and that seeded Extinction Rebellion, came after she went down to South America and worked with our deer plant teachers. We requested that she come here today, and she actually said, I don't fly unless I absolutely need to. She's walking the walk. Extinction Rebellion recently in the UK shut down London and really put some amazing political pressure onto their government to actually declare a climate emergency. So instead of coming, we have one more video where Gail wanted to send a message to the conference. So if we could please play the video by Gail.
Hello everyone, I'm Gail Bradbrook. I helped to set up Extinction Rebellion, and I'm really, really sorry not to be with you, so I was asked to make this little video. And Andrea sent me some questions, so I'll have a go at answering them in a really short period of time. And there's so much juicy things to tell you that I couldn't possibly do these questions justice. But one is about the medicine plants, about the psychoactive plants, and whether they hold the keys to social change. Certainly, from my perspective, the genesis story of Extinction Rebellion involves me working with Iboga and Ayahuasca and Peyote and San Pedro, and making requests of the universe for information and for help in service. And that's an ongoing practice, and it can involve all sorts of different plants. And I feel very honoured to be supported by traditions that have been gifted in order to help me and people like myself that work in this way in the UK to actually remember our Indigenous traditions and our connection to our own sacred and native plants. So I'm sending a lot of love and gratitude for those gifts, and really wanting people to know that I honour the people that carry those medicines, and I really want them to be held sacred, and for the people that have generously shared them to know that you're deeply loved. And okay, so Extinction Rebellion, the vision for the future, we have 3 demands, which are around that our governments have to tell the truth about the dire nature of this crisis that we're in. There's a view that we've sort of got there with that, but really people are just declaring emergencies and then carrying on as business as usual. We've helped to change the dialogue in the UK, and I guess wider, on climate change, along with the school strikes and about the ecological crisis, and we're about biodiversity loss and the whole picture, right? The second demand is about legally binding targets that actually are around biodiversity and climate change. And the third one is that how we go about doing that needs to be led by people through what's called a citizens' assembly, that is people chosen at random. So it's very much about changing the nature of democracy, knowing that this current political system couldn't possibly make the changes that are needed, and that citizens' assembly would be focused on climate and ecological justice. I have a vision that we will have, this is again a personal thing, I would have a vision that we will have an international set of demands that are for the international bodies to agree that we are in this deep, deep crisis, and that the reason for it is there's something broken in the operating system of humanity, both cultural and economic and legal. And that not only would we have internationally binding demands centred around climate justice, but that we would have a multi-stakeholder panel and citizens' assembly focused on how to rewire humanity, what legal and economic changes we needed. And this is not a fight between the left and the right and ideologies. This has to come from what you might call teal consciousness. So the other question is about working in solidarity with Indigenous peoples. And here in the UK, we had 1,000 arrests over in our recent rebellion period. And we're sitting great privilege in our country that really doesn't come at a particularly great cost. I can't speak for everybody on that journey, but knowing that other earth protectors across the world literally put their lives on the line, and that I think I heard a figure that 47 environmentalists die every year across the world. And to really, I think, a significant part of our solidarity is to actually fully connect with and understand and feel through our numbness, in all honesty, what other people are facing already. And I could say a lot more about this, but there's something here that needs to be really felt and grieved about reweaving the family together, the family of all peoples and animals and plants and the fungus. And there's a place where, with Extinction Rebellion, we're really trying to work through the narcissism of little brother, little sister, and to open our hearts up to the pain, and through that to find our love, and through that to find our courage. And so what we have to do for that is to connect to the loss that's immediate and apparent to us. So that might be talking about the animals that are going extinct, or the fact that the injustice in the world is now manifesting as an intergenerational injustice with our own children. And I really hope that isn't felt as a disrespect to people in other countries that are already dying, because what we're trying to do is connect people to grief, and that has to be opened up to the bigger world grief. So that's what I'm trying to hold on to. And I think that we acting in solidarity is about understanding that all of our struggles are one struggle, and we do have an internationalist solidarity network team. And so if you want to get in touch with me, I can connect you to that team, which is Gail at rebellion.earth. The plants and the Indigenous ways are utterly at the heart of this thing from my perspective. Wishing you all a really brilliant conference and sending you all a load of love, and hoping that whatever I said made sense, and asking for forgiveness in any mistakes I'm making. I really welcome some feedback. Lots of love.
A little shout out to my friend Ben Christie for making that interview possible. Thank you so much for all of your work. We'll move now to the end of the table to Alnoor Ladha to share some words.
So I'm gonna, is that working?
Yeah, it'll come.
Can you hear me? Hello? There you go. I think it's working. Is that on now? Perfect. So a lot of beautiful words have been said already, and I think part of my role will just be to synthesize and summarize the through line through a lot of what we've heard over the past 3 days. I think can be summarized by resistance, renewal, and embodiment. And the resistance needs the renewal. Yes, we have to remove the noose of capitalism around the neck of 99% of humanity and the more than human life that's suffering. And we also need the renewal simultaneously. And so there's been a lot of questions, especially after the talk earlier today, and people came to me and said, well, what should we do? And as someone who believes in I guess, a mystical anarchist path and tradition, I come from a Sufi tradition, I feel like answering that question in some ways is an abdication of responsibility, both mine and yours. And so all I can do is maybe suggest ideas that I've heard that are in the new sphere that are powerful and have resonance. And I think many people here are already working on some of these ideas. So when it comes to resistance, one of the key takeouts for me being here is to really hold the critique, to really believe and know that critique is action, and that being good students of our culture is what is required of us in troubled times. In terms of renewal, we've heard lots of ideas from building post-capitalist infrastructure, alternative communities, indigenous stewardship of land, universal basic income, cooperative ownership structures. I think there's no shortage of solutions and alternatives, but it requires challenging power to do it. And both resistance and renewal, there's so many avenues now, from joining the local Extinction rebellion, if you have kids, putting them in the school strike program, or thinking about deschooling programs, supporting indigenous communities directly, supporting ally groups like ICEERS and Amazon Watch and the Sacred Headwaters Initiative, and also doing the active work of deprogramming our own colonized minds. You know, we've all been infected and affected by the invisible architecture of capitalist ideology. It's everywhere. And so for embodiment, part of this is to live in that sacred reciprocity, to live in that gift, and to live in the antidote logic by the very means of what we do. But also marrying this new cosmology, new and ancient cosmology of animism, seeing the forest as alive, seeing the universe as something that is in active dialogue with us. You know, as the quantum physicists say, we meet the universe halfway. But marrying that cosmology of animism and co-creation and co-emergence with a moral philosophy that has post-capitalism at its core, that has post-anthropocentric thinking at its core, and has post-patriarchy at its core. And so that's my prayer, is the resistance, the renewal, the embodiment. And I hope that helps create this better world we know is possible. And I'm grateful to everyone in this room who's doing the work and working with these sacred plants and sacred medicines and facing that shadow, and not just our internal shadow, but the shadow of our culture at large. And as we transition out of late-stage capitalism and the nightmare of modernity, I pray that we all work together to be the ancestors that we want to be. Shukran. Haush, haush.
Thank you. I'd like to pass the mic now to my dear friend and colleague, Jerónimo, who's one of the best dreamers that I know, and organic intellectuals, to share a few words. We've been talking a lot the last few weeks about how to organize this panel, and one of the things he said to me is, what can the ayahuasca community do other than drink more ayahuasca or suggest that other people drink ayahuasca? So we've been really thinking and talking about how do we bring these actions out beyond our little bubbles and actually use the plants as inspiration, but look for solutions beyond just engaging in these practices. So I'm really looking forward to everything you have to say.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for your dreams. And thank you, Andrea, for giving me this space. like she said, for the last 3 days, I've been running around the conference, attending to this and that. Sorry. And all the time I was wondering, what was I going to say here now about this dream for the future? The truth is that I should have prepared this talk long ago. But I also felt that I couldn't, because somehow it was meant to come out of these 3 days. You see, when we designed the content for the program, our main objective was to go from the personal insight and personal healing, which most of us know from our personal encounters to ayahuasca. We wanted to go from the personal to the wider community and the wider world. So I asked myself, what can the ayahuasca community offer other people, other collectives working for a better world? What can we offer beyond inviting them to drink ayahuasca with us? What can we offer them really? I mean, what is it that we can bring to this table? And that's what we meant by the inner search for the better world that you see here, right? That was the inner search for the better world. It was lots of discussions to reach this sentence, no? So in these days, while I was thinking about this, an old question came back up. And then 2 days ago, a new answer also appeared. The old question was, what are the plants telling us? What are they teaching us? The answers are many, and we've heard about them in this conference. You know? The plants teach us love, they teach us gratitude, they teach us humility, and they teach us reconciliation, and those are the easy ones. But some days ago, hearing a UDV mestre, the UDV is the União de Vegetal, it's the largest church in Brazil, as many of you know, he kept mentioning the word transformation. And I realized that for the UDV, this is a very central concept. And I thought also that it is central because it is a very good container of all of the things that I said above and then more. So then I thought, this is what the plants teach us. They teach us transformation. But then I realized I don't fully agree. Not fully agree with that. The plants don't exactly teach us how to transform ourselves. It's more like they show. They make us see what it takes to transform ourselves. And I was more comfortable with that. The plants teach us what it takes to transform ourselves because they don't do the work. The work is up to us to do. And this work, transforming ourselves, as we all know, it's really hard and it's really long. It's one thing to identify a problem and quite another to be capable of effectively doing something about it. One needs schooling, one needs guidance, one needs perseverance. Dennis McKenna has said that the plant kingdom is sending a message to human beings through the plants. But what is this message? That this is what it takes for you to transform? I don't think so. I think this message falls a little bit short. I think that the message of the plants is that learning to transform yourself is how you learn to transform the world. It is the necessary school in order to be able to transform the world. Because transforming the world, it's also really hard, and it's also really long. And there's also one thing to be capable to identify a problem, and quite another to be capable to effectively do something about it. And one also needs schooling, and one also needs guidance, and one also needs perseverance. So for many years in my work with ICEERs, I've been thinking about the enormous challenges that face the ayahuasca community. You know, out there are issues of legality, of policy. There's medical challenges, there's structural challenges. And this is reflected internally, where the ayahuasca community faces challenges of organization, of intercultural relationships, of sustainability, of governance, of abuse of many types, of appropriation, and of resisting the tendencies of the system to commercialize and to banalize everything it touches. And then I realized that this community and these issues are actually one of the best possible schools to learn how to tackle the bigger issues of the world. because they are all somehow contained already here in front of us. So then the new answer came to the old question, and that is that transforming ourselves is just the necessary school, the training for the wider transformation, and that this is what the plants are putting in front of us. But only if we agree that that's what the message is. If we agree that the plants are teaching us that what it takes to transform oneself is the training needed to transform the world outside of ourselves. From this perspective, healing ourselves or even healing others are not final destinations, but necessary steps in the larger transformation that the planet is asking of human beings. Then I realized that transformation is not an abstract concept. It is part of all living beings. Seeds sprout into plants and bloom into new seeds. Water flows from the earth, goes up into the cloud, and rains again. Nature itself is never static, but always transforming. Transformation is the governing principle of all life. Life is nothing but transformation. Think about it. If you were the plants, and you wanted to get these human hominids who have free will and incredible technologies and are so free that they can even go against life itself, how would you get them to change things? How else would you do it but the way that is being done? So when does this work begin? I think it has already started. So thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. And let's keep listening to one another, to the plants, to indigenous people, and especially to all the voices, human and not human, that are whispering to us, whispering inside of us and outside as well. Thank you very much.
So we have about 15 minutes before the closing ceremony, so we've put a mic here if you have any dreams you'd like to share with the group or any questions for our panelists. Oh, Ben, I was hoping you were going to the microphone.
Hello.
Hello, perfect.
Thank
Hello.
you for a series. I don't know if do the question in Spanish or English. What do you
Como
prefer?
tú quieres. Como tú quieres.
I have a technical question. I would like to know if the ayahuasca is patentada? I don't know in English how you say that.
No, it's not. There was someone, I believe, many years ago who tried and was not successful.
Okay.
That's a very short answer.
Excuse me?
It was attempted and not successful, so no, it is not patented.
And it's a risk right now? Is a,
I believe no.
How has been the fight, if you could explain us?
Do you have the details on that?
I think basically you cannot patent plants themselves, but you can patent particular variations of the plant. I think that you cannot patent plants themselves, but you can only patent certain variations of the plant. And a person attempted to do this, they got in a lot of trouble, and then they lost the patent, and even that patent didn't hold a lot of water. I don't think that's not, I wouldn't say that's one of the biggest problems facing ayahuasca.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi. This is actually a question to everyone. Well, I know for me personally, the plant medicine has really transformed my life, but I've been a bit shy to, come out on social media and talk about it because no one else is really doing it. So in a recent, just like an hour ago, in a recent discussion with the MAPS people and the Chacruna people, we thought it might be an interesting idea to get maybe 100 or even 1,000 people to kind of sign up together to all come out on social media about how psychedelics have positively changed their life on one specific day. And this could be an action that would it's a concrete action that would really move forward the kind of raising awareness about the power of the plants. So if anyone would like to give me their contact information in the next 15 minutes, I'll be over here and we'll organize this. I was thinking maybe for February 20th, 2020, a mass coming out on social media, everyone with their story. We'll think of a good hashtag. So just a suggestion.
Excellent.
It's a great idea.
Hola.
Hello. I only speak Spanish, so that's what I'll do. First and foremost, I would like to express my gratitude to ICEERS and all the team behind the organization of this conference. I know for sure what it means to organize something like this, especially, joining together such huge diversity to be together, to dialogue. It's something to be really very grateful for, and it was so important. And since we're talking about dreams, one of my dreams would be, or is, I should say, is that this dialogue needs to grow and it needs to be more equitable. And by this, I mean that each and every one of the participants in the dialogue need to have the same importance. I mean, the Western science has its weight in the construction of respect vis-a-vis what medicines mean, and the ancestral science in the indigenous communities is also as important. So we need to respect both the traditional medicine and the scientific medicine, and the leading character protagonism vis-a-vis the approach toward ancestral medicines. This need to be much higher and much more open and participatory. This is in its budding stages. We know, we are learning, we are growing, but my dream is for this to really be equitable in terms of respect vis-a-vis tradition, because tradition has made this possible. It's the pretext, it's the excuse for us joining us here today. Part of this respect toward what ancestral medicine, traditional medicine means, not just ayahuasca, all of the traditional medicines, this stems from the fact that we need not remove the fundamental component, ancestry, from the sacred part of the story. If we remove the holy, sacred part from something that is sacred and holy, we risk trivialization that other cultures, plants, and traditions have suffered from. Mama Coca, we know what has happened to it, and that is a danger that threatens all of the traditional medicines, and it's affecting ayahuasca, and I think this is cross-cutting, and that is why I think we are here today. In this Congress, there was one speaker who asserted that medicine is not sacred, and I am so concerned and so sad because I still think about that. And some people, gave him a hand, and he said he couldn't care less about medicine, because, he's in the mindset of, trade and commerce and distribution, and that is one of the threats affecting ayahuasca. And the responsibility is among users and those offering it. What do we offer? What do we provide? What for? In what sense? What do we explain? So users, non-users, we need to change our use dynamics. Those offering the substance, those demanding it. It's a dialogue that needs to happen in respect, and that is going to help the medicine persist. And that is my dream, and I wanted to share it. Thank you.
So I sat here as everyone was talking, and a question started to formulate. How can we possibly help this world to awaken to what's necessary if we can't bring the plants to them or them to the plants? How can we possibly get through to them? And I got the answer right before you said it, transformation. And then I said, well, why is that such a scary concept? And my entire life, the idea of death was scary, incredibly scary, so scary that I'd rather die than think about death. And I worked in corporate America, where I saw the fear of death. being translated into the necessity for profit, to always gain, to always grow, to always expand, even if it meant harming the workers, even if it meant harming the industry. It was so important to keep moving forward, never, never, never dying, always keep expanding and becoming a cancer. So it is that somehow we have to find a way to explain to them that death is transformation. Transformation is death. It doesn't mean the end. The energy continues, it grows, it expands. You become the ancestors of what's coming. And I don't know how to get that idea across. Because I see, when I even bring it up, I see the fear of, oh, I won't be here one day, start to rise up. And then the door closes to even continue the conversation. Because it's the fear of dying, that you have to accept that you will one day pass. So how do you, is there anyone that has a suggestion of how to broach the subject in a way that doesn't bring about the closing of the door?
I think Gail's message from Extinction Rebellion and the work that they're doing is about grief and about connecting to our grief. And I think for myself, whenever I come up against some of these big issues, it's like, 5 more species have died or no longer with us, so you kind of compartmentalize and you move away from grief. And I'm really inspired that they are doing this work. And I live in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, and we're actually having grief rituals in our community around some of the big climate issues. So I think connecting to grief and actually moving through that, and the plants, there's some amazing researchers here doing work around grief with ayahuasca and supporting moving through that grief with the help from our plants. And so I think that's part of looking at in the face, is actually starting to work more with our own grief. Do any other panelists have comments about this question?
I would say, and this is just a personal opinion, that perhaps it's not so much an issue of trying to convince people to see something, but how this thing that you have seen transforms your life in ways that become an example for others. I think eventually there's perhaps even less resistance when things come this way.
I'm just going to add one point to that, which is we live in a death-phobic culture. And partly because we don't, especially in the West, and of course this is a generalization, we don't have a relationship with our ancestors. We don't know where they're buried, especially for those who migrated from Western Europe to North America. And what that does is it creates a cycle of fear. And Stephen Jenkinson does a lot of work on this, and I recommend reading some of his stuff. But he talks a lot about learning to die wise. It's a learned practice, learning how to die, and we actually need to learn how to do that as a culture.
Hola. Bueno, yo quiero, en primer lugar...
Hello. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody here, thank you all, thank ICERS for having got everybody to come here. I'd like to share my dream with you because I think it's partly coming true. I didn't used to understand in the tribe I was born in, which is Gypsy ethnic, Roma. We have a long tradition related to everything I'm hearing here. I am grateful to medicine, to ayahuasca, which was the first teacher plant I came across. I have to express my thank to it because it made me open up. It showed me where I had to open up. Because at the beginning I didn't really understand things, and medicine has helped me understand and be brave enough to do it. So in my ethnic group, we are landless because the land belongs to everybody. Many of my ancestors left in their passage, their parents or their grandparents buried somewhere else. But we know how to call them. We don't need to go and see where they're buried. We call them and they come to us. So we've had to learn to live in a society where, unfortunately, most of my tribe, so to speak, has lost many of its essential values. Although we maintain some of them. Although we may have a degree, we are integrated in society, we are house-trained. This is something which I'd like those of you who are perhaps starting out, I'd like you to look at the way we've been through it. I'd ask you to stand strong against technology, against money. I think that the values of union, love, the tribe, remembering that everything starts with those who are closest to you, your mother, your father, your children, your brothers and sisters, that we mustn't lose. That's what we have to learn from those who haven't yet been swallowed up by this speedy society. So I just want to say thank you. I love the idea of wisdom waking us up and cleaning our heart and our minds. Thank you.
This will be our last comment or question. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank the organizers. This is such a insightful and beautiful conference, a ceremony in of itself. And we speak of visions of the future. I wanted to share not the vision, but sort of a recipe that I feel like the medicine gave me. And I put it in words in a poem, and I would like to read that.
Wonderful.
It's called the Mool Mantra. And Mool Mantra is a term in Sanskrit, Hindi, which really means the core truth, the central truth. Mool Mantra. You are not here to live your life. You're here to live the moments within. You may know there is a source, but you don't need to know how to get there. The path ahead is not simple, but each step is perfect. Mool Mantra. You are a song whose words come from your heart, humming with the one. Be silent and listen to this song. It will tell you where to plant, what to grow, how to eat, where to plant your next step. Mool Mantra. It'll tell you how to live this moment, why each step is perfect, where the source is. Listen to this song, listen to this song, listen to this song. Thank you.
We're closed. No more questions. Thank you. We have to close the panel. So I'd like to thank my panelists. Thanks, Manari, who had to leave.
It's very short.
Thank you to Nemonte for their video interview. Thank you to Danny, to Atossa, to Gail, who came in by video, to Alnoor and Jerónimo. Thank you so much for dreaming with me. Until the next time. So, like any good ceremony, we will be closing the circle. We're just going to be, we're going to be inviting some people onto the stage for the last part of our conference together. So I'm expecting that there's going to probably be more people coming into the auditorium. So if we could just be generous and create space, move down if we can, in order to allow everyone to enter for this final closing ceremony. Thank you.